Hey everybody, welcome back. It's MJ from Just Plain Fun, and I have a question for you. When you're making a butt joint, how do you make sure that that's exactly 90 degrees? What's your preferred technique? One of the ways that we can make sure that we've got a perfect 90 is by shooting that end grain, and we can use a shooting board with a shooting plane to do that, and that is what this video is all about. Just by sheer coincidence, I happen to have a couple of different shooting boards in the shop right now that are just passing through on their way to their next destination. Both of them are going to Europe. But I figured while they're here, I better strike while the proverbial iron is hot. And I figured you guys might want to check them out. So the scenario is we're making shaker style doors. Let's say hypothetically for our own kitchen. I got about 20 that need to be made if anybody wants to volunteer. Well, we want our butt joints to look basically like that. We want a nice clean joint. What we don't want is we don't want it to look like that with that ugly gap right there. And that one's not even level. We're doing our thing. We're cutting our rails. We're cutting our stiles. We're looking for a perfect 90-degree angle on there. So whether you're using a power miter saw and you're fighting that thing to try and keep zero, or if you're using an old school miter box because you're just that cool and you're unplugged like that, ultimately we're looking for that good 90-degree angle right there in order to make sure that we're going to have that solid butt joint. But what do we do if we've got light coming through there and we don't have a good 90 all the way around? Well, that's when we're going to go to the shooting board. Here's the dumbed down version, and I'm almost positive that I saw the legendary Roy Underhill make something similar. Now, I just threw this one together out of scrap wood, but I'm almost positive I saw him do something similar on the Woodwright Shop. Did any of y'all ever watch that over on PBS? I think you can actually still watch old episodes of it now. But this is the dumbed down simple version of it, and if you're proficient enough, if you're good enough, I think you can actually get this to work. But let's go ahead and take one step up from that. This is a shop-built shooting board that I made. I watched a few videos on YouTube and I thought, man, I can do that. Unfortunately, I've never been able to actually get this thing to a perfect 90 despite my best efforts. So I'm saving up. I want to buy either the Lee Nielsen one or if I'm lucky enough to find the actual Stanley version, which you're going to see here in a little bit in this video. You may have noticed I have this set up for left-handed use even though I'm right-handed. I did that because I was using it to show off the tote turner, which is available both left and right-handed, but it's a great option. It's from Woodya, and you can use it to make any plane into a shooting plane. All right, enough with the shop-built stuff. Let's look at an actual production shoot board. This is not the Stanley one. This is actually a Chaplan, and this thing, believe it or not, is between 135 and 150 years old. Now, it was manufactured by A.J. Wilkinson, but it was sold under the name Chaplan. The overall design of this plane and the board are pretty similar to the Stanley version, which I'm going to show you here momentarily so you can see for yourself. But it does have those aspects of it that are unique to Chaplan, which I'll show you in more detail on, like the lever cap, for example. And then the handle where you actually put your hand in order to use the plane is obviously very unique as well. Let's go ahead and pop this back into the track and then we'll just take another look around the plane. Now, Chaplan was based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and as you can see on the badge here, A.J. Wilkinson also presumably crafted this particular plane in Boston as well. And since it was sold under the Chaplan name, they did go ahead and put the Chaplan badge on it, which you can see right here. Now, it does have some other features that we expect to see that are unique to the Chaplan planes, like this lever cap, for example. Now, on the blade itself, which I'll take out and show you here in just a second, it is actually skewed, whereas on the Stanley, it's a regular blade, but it's just bedded at a different angle. Let me go ahead and pop this off so that we can take a closer look at this rather unique design on the lever cap and the blade. Don't mind me while I struggle to do this with one hand. So here we go. Here's the lever cap. It's got that unique feature where it wraps around the back of the blade. You can see me sliding it off there. There's the front and back. You'll see that on other Chaplan like bench planes, for example. Here's that skewed angle that I was telling you about on the blade. A little bit different than what we expect to see on the Stanley. And then this frog mechanism. This is also unique to the Chaplans, and you're going to see that same design on the regular Chaplan bench planes as well. And here's a better look at that badge where you can actually read how it says Chaplan's patent on it as well. Pretty cool, right? Definitely not a tool that you're going to see every day. And for its age, 135 to 150 years old, and to think this thing could be tuned up and could be put to work just like it was the day that it left the factory. Straight out of the Industrial Revolution. This is ingenuity and engineering at its finest. What a beauty. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Here is the Stanley number 51 and 52 chute board and chute plane. And yes, I am actually taking shavings with this thing. How cool is that? One of the really cool things about this plane is it takes a regular 2 3/8 inch iron out of any bench plane. So 4.5, 6, 7. So I grabbed a sharp iron out of one of my planes and dropped it in here because I've never had one of these in the shop before and I wanted to check it out. I wanted to see, like, how hard is it to actually take some shavings off of the end grain and check it out. It's working. We're going to have this little board squared up and ready to make a 90-degree angle and a perfect butt joint before we know it. Now that we know that it works, let's go ahead and take it apart and see what makes it tick. So we've got a regular 2 3/8 inch cap, a regular 2 3/8 inch iron like you'd have on a 6 or a 7. And then here's what's interesting. Fun fact, this frog is nearly identical to the Type 3 frogs that Stanley put on planes all those years ago. Here they are side by side so you can see just how similar they are. The lateral adjust lever is really the only thing that sets them apart. The spacing for the holes, exactly the same between the two. And this is the, if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this, always inspect the frog before you buy a 51-52 chute board setup because it is very, very prone to breaking. Just like its Type 3 predecessor, it's just not a great design. It's not going to stand up to a fall. So always, always inspect it. Look for hairline fractures around the screw holes and just give it a good once over before you put any money down. It is a Stanley tool, so you know it's numbered. There's number 52, and then on the plane itself, you've got your number 51. We got this thing back together. Let's look at another angle. Hey, check that out. Look at the angle on that tote. That looks just like Woodya's tote turner. How cool is that? I've mentioned shooting that end grain to get a good 90, but it is also adjustable. So, and it's pretty easy to adjust. You can actually set this to say 45. So if you wanted a couple of 45s in order to get your 90, that's an option as well. Very easy to do. There is a part that's missing from this one, that's missing from a lot of them, and it's like a stock hold down tool. Here's what it looks like. But they were frequently taken off, put in a drawer, and then they get separated. That's why they're always missing. But who needs that stock hold down anyway? You can just hold it by hand and still get a good 90-degree butt joint just like that. Y'all let me know in the comments if I missed anything big, anything important. Let me know if you have any questions. I will do my best to find you an answer. I'm not an expert on shooting boards and shooting planes. I had them in the shop, wanted to make a video. So hey, I appreciate y'all watching.